Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to Newstos. So, Xbox and Nintendo are in a little bit of a weird situation right now. On the side of Xbox, they do have a pretty cool update coming that we'll talk about today, but also some fans and outlets have taken to the internet to criticize something that's really not all that unexpected. This is certainly a strange situation, and I'd even say to an extent it exposes a real problem within the game community. These bad actors that act in bad faith just to spread platform negativity. So we'll talk all about that a little later on in the video. As for Nintendo, their next big release is already leaked out, but if that wasn't already bad enough, it just got worse, and maybe even a little bit awkward. Before we get started though, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button below. I try to post daily news videos with some of my own opinions thrown in, and if that's something that you like, make sure to subscribe and also hit that like button because it does help out the channel a ton. With that out of the way though, let's just go and jump right into things, starting off with Tactics Ogre Reborn. Now, we've heard a lot about this remaster as it did appear on the Nvidia GeForce leak, which just keeps giving by this point. Square Enix also trademarked Tactics Ogre Reborn back in March, and then last month it leaked out on the PlayStation Store. I'm honestly surprised it wasn't announced last month after that leak, but if there was any doubt if this game existed or not, well, it just leaked once again. This time it's coming from the PlayStation Store's backend, which reveals its full details, its release date, and even its images. Now, per usual, I don't include leaked images or videos on my channel, but if you're interested, I will have a link in the description below. However, according to PlayStation Store's backend, Tactics Ogre Reborn will release on the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 on November 11th. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that it won't release on other platforms. That's just the only current platforms that we know about before it officially gets announced. I do have a hard time believing that a tactics RPG would skip out on the Nintendo Switch. I guess we'll see about all that, but it will have improved visuals and sound. They updated the game design. It has faster battles, it has autosave this time around, and it also has fully voiced cutscenes. So really, with all of this information leaking out online, I'd say that really it's only a matter of time before Tactics Ogre Reborn officially fully gets confirmed. Next up, though, we do have another delay to talk about because, you know, why not? We're used to it by this point, but this time for Lord of the Rings Gollum, that upcoming stealth-based game. It was originally slated to release this September side by side with the upcoming Amazon show, which would have been a good way to boost its sales and recognition, but unfortunately, it's now been pushed back by an undefined quote-unquote few months. They didn't really give an exact reason as to why, just that in order to meet expectations and to deliver the best possible experience, they'll need that extra few months. That's fair enough though, as we always strive for a better quality game upon launch. And really, when I hear this news, it kind of makes me think that they were always just kind of pushing to release it next to the Amazon show. Not because it was necessarily a realistic time frame, but rather because it was an ideal date, as I'm sure that there will be a lot of Lord of the Rings talk this September, especially if that show turns out to be good. If that show is really popular though, I'm sure a few months delay won't majorly hurt it, and especially if the game actually turns out to be good. That right there is the most important part, because even if it launched side by side with the show, if the game's not good, it really doesn't matter. Fans will still just skip out on it. So I guess we'll just have to wait that extra few months, though as soon as we do get an exact release date, I will, of course, let you all know. Let's go and talk about Xbox though, as a few different things are happening right now, the first of which is what I would consider to be outright fake outrage. We all know that this type of stuff exists within the community, and news outlets, they certainly try to ignite the fire because, especially with Xbox, there has been a history of hating on it for clicks. We can all just kind of act like this type of stuff doesn't exist, but it's pretty clear at times, and today is one of those days. Halo Infinite, a game that many people want to see fail, always seems to spark a lot of conversation online. And today, some news outlets decided to carry a story that could easily be manipulated into a negative spin, and that's in regards to its upcoming cooperative campaign. Now, it is indeed unfortunate that fans have had to wait this long to play with their friends on Halo Infinite. We all know that, and we all wish it would have been available day one, as it is a big part of the Halo franchise. Jumping on and playing with your friends through its campaign is a lot of fun. The thing is, though, is that online co-op is finally almost here, as it's currently going through beta. Though I guess at the same time, it was also discovered that surprisingly, campaign co-op doesn't have online matchmaking. What that means is that you can't queue up and search for a random player to play co-op with you. Instead, you have to directly invite somebody, which was to be expected, though of course, news outlets immediately started to run away with this narrative. And then, as no big surprise, there were some fans out there that were very obviously acting in bad faith, not knowing what they're talking about, just kind of piling on, claiming that 343 should just give up on Halo and move on, and that this basically was an unfathomable decision. Halo and Xbox fans, meanwhile, though, were just kind of like, well, that's okay. And the reason for that is because this has never been a feature in Halo games outside of Reach, which very few people even used. And quite frankly, that's because it doesn't need online matchmaking. I really don't know of a lot of people out there that would want to queue up with a random person online that they don't know to play a game cooperatively for a game that cooperative isn't necessarily required to be good. This isn't a shared world game. That's like wanting online matchmaking for a game like Uncharted, as an example. I'm sure I could probably think of something better, but I mean, sure, it might be fun to play with your friends online in a game like this, but with complete strangers? I'm sure most people would just instead opt out to just play it by themselves. For that matter, I can't really think of a lot of campaigns similar to Halo that does have matchmaking outside of a few like Gears of War, as an example. Again, that's because more than likely, if you don't have friends to enjoy that experience with, most people will just play it single player as it's great by yourself. So more or less, if you start to think about it, some people out there have gone from complaining that they can't play Halo Infinite with their friends to now complaining that they can't play with randoms. Yeah, you can't make this type of stuff up, and yeah, you quickly come to realize that this is a bit of a fabricated issue. There are some people out there, of course, that's going to try to make this into a big deal, but really, it's really not. But just to press on a little bit more, here's the thing. If for whatever reason you really do want to play Halo Infinite with a random player online, and you just absolutely don't want to play by yourself, well, Xbox, it does actually have a built-in feature to solve your problem here. Xbox does have a looking for group feature that you can take advantage of, so you can easily post in that and find other randoms to play a game with you online. All in all, though, this really is just such a non-issue in my opinion, and when the Halo community is even on the same page with something like this, that kind of tells you something, because the Halo community, they seem to never agree on anything. Let me know your all's thoughts on this, though. Do you think that this is a non-issue like I think, or do you disagree with me here, and do you have a problem with no online matchmaking in Halo Infinite? I would love to hear your all's thoughts on this, so let it be heard in the comments below. Speaking of Xbox, though, the Xbox Series will soon be getting a really nice and welcome update. It's now been confirmed that the Xbox Series cold boot time has been reduced from 9 seconds all the way down to a measly 4 seconds. That means when your console is completely shut down and when you decide to boot it back up, its opening animation will only take a mere 4 seconds. I mean, it was already fast in the first place, but that's actually pretty incredible, especially when you start to think about last generation and just how slow consoles booted up. These NVMe solid-state drives, they really have just made a world of difference this generation. It's actually kind of hard to go back to those long load times once again, and that includes a simple boot up like this. So this is a very welcome update that's currently available for Xbox Insider members. Once it's been fully tested, it'll start to roll out to all Xbox Series consoles. On to our final topic, though. As we talked about last week, Nintendo has had a bit of a problem here recently with some of their big games breaking street date and leaking out early. So this did happen once again with Xenoblade 3, which is set to release later this week on July 29th. I'm actually really looking forward to this game myself, as I greatly enjoyed the first 2 games, and I think Xenoblade 3 looks even better with its combat specifically. But Xenoblade 3, the thing about this game is that it did start appearing on eBay last week. Several copies were sold above market price because I guess some people just absolutely couldn't wait for that extra couple days. But it is what it is. Some fans are already playing this game and are already posting pictures of their early copy online. If anything, just kind of be safe, watch out for spoilers. But if this situation wasn't already bad enough, Well, it just got worse. Now, keep in mind that this game, it's not officially out yet for the vast majority of the world, and before it's even released, it's now being reported that it is fully playable on the Steam Deck. There's actually pictures of this online as well, where fans are playing it on their Steam Deck. Yeah, I would say that this is a little bit of an awkward situation, but because Switch emulation is capable on a Steam Deck, Nintendo's upcoming big exclusive title is already being played on another handheld console before its official release. This is obviously something that you don't want to see before a big exclusive like this launches. It's certainly not a good look for Nintendo, and I'm sure that they're very upset over the situation, though I really don't know if they can do too much about it. And really, I would say that this is just all the more reason that they need to keep their games from breaking street date in the future. The last thing that they're going to want is for their games to be available on another handheld platform before even releasing. Now, I will say that this does kind of highlight one of Steam Deck's best attributes, and that's emulation. It's actually a great handheld emulation console, and one of the better reasons to own it with retro emulation. Just make sure you actually own the games. But still, Nintendo will need to try a little bit harder from letting this type of thing happen in the future. In the meantime, though, if you are looking forward to Xenoblade 3, as I am, just be cautious of any type of spoilers online. Let's go take a look at the poll of the day, though, where I asked you all, what would you prefer the Coalition's next game to be? Now, last week we saw a job listing that implies that they are working on another Gears of War game, but then last year we also heard that they might possibly be working on a new IP. So yeah, I wanted to see your all's thoughts here, and as you can see, the vast majority of you all, being 63%, would like to see a new IP, while 27% of you all voted for Gears of War 6, and then 5% of you voted for a licensed IP. So there you have it. It does seem like a lot of you all are ready for the Coalition to kind of move on and make a new IP. And I think that that's perfectly understandable considering just how talented this studio is. We do kind of want to see what else that they're capable of. This was a studio that was originally put together to work on new IP, and they were working on Shanghai Heist under Black Tusk Studios. It wasn't until Xbox acquired Gears of War that they then decided to work on that instead, and then they just kind of shelved Shanghai Heist. Even then, I still would say that the Coalition has done a great job with the Gears of War franchise. I love Gears of War. It's one of my favorite franchises ever made. But, I mean, we have seen this studio and how much potential they have. Not only with Shanghai Heist, but they've really proven to have that expertise when it comes to Unreal Engine. They put together that Alpha Point demo that looked absolutely excellent. They also worked on The Matrix Awakens. It was insane with what they did with that demo, but that's kind of the thing about the Coalition. We have seen them do some other things besides Gears of War, and it just screams high quality and just this top tier Unreal Engine capability. So we know that this studio for a fact has a lot of potential, and it would be very interesting to see what they could do with their own original IP. So what I personally hope that they do is I personally hope that they actually work on two different games. Selfishly, I would like to see them continue to work on Gears of War because, again, I love that franchise. But I'd also like to see them put together a second team and maybe work on a new IP as well. Kind of get the best of both worlds here. And right now, based on some different job listings that we've seen in the past, it seems like that might actually be what they're doing here. Now, things do change and job descriptions aren't just absolute confirmation, so we do need to keep that in mind. But I think that that would be the ideal situation for the time being. Gears of War is an iconic Xbox franchise, and Gears 5 did end with a cliffhanger. So at the very least, they do need to at least make Gears of War 6. That way they can kind of end the story on a good note. Now, after Gears 6, I think there might be some more serious questions about the franchise and how they'll continue moving forward, depending on how the story ends there. But again, I would like to see them kind of work on both Gears as well as a new IP. I think that that really would be the ideal situation here. Anyways, though, that's it for this episode. But if you liked the video, don't forget to bell notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Also, if you'd like to support the channel through Patreon, thank you for making this content possible. Peace out.